And
So you found your voice.
I found my voice.
This helped you to find your voice.
And that voice has been sustaining me ever since. I thought I had my voice.
Inside that darkness is always some light.
Yeah.
Right? But I wanna talk to you a little bit also, because we talk about the highs and then we sometimes hide the lows. And then those who look at us have this misconception that we're the strong, you know how to take care of all of that. And when they're not being strong, they think there's something's wrong with them. So I want to just keep it real and ask you, what are some of the lows and some of the parts of you that also showed? I know you found your strength, but what were some of the other weaknesses you found?
I wish I had asked for help. I'm not good at that. Oof.
Thank you for sharing that.
We don't know how to ask for help. Even though in those rooms I was strong, when I got in that room, I felt all the aches in my body. Mentally, I was so drained, and I feel like I should have sought out mental health to help me cope with what I was facing. It has impacted me physically because I shut down with eating. I shut down connecting with people because you're in that survival space. And my family is thousands and thousands of miles away. What it taught me is, even though I'm strong, I am weak when it comes to take care of self-care. Because even though we go through trials and tribulation, we have to understand that self-care and the human connection of people supporting. Yes, I was around amazing nurses who made sure I was okay. Like, they wanted to make sure I was okay. But that sisterhood that holds you up, I had shut down from that. Because, that's a whole other, I'm sure, another conversation. We were so used to carrying our sisters, and, I was just drained from everybody taking from me. So I was in this space of, this is my child, I'm going to survive. And I was drained from what I had allowed to happen, to, people taking and not replenishing me. So as I was out there fighting for Zion, I was going back to an empty room where somebody wasn't feeding me. Like, hey, you're going to be okay. There was prayers around the world. But I didn't have that space. Like, I don't even know how to put into words. It's like, there's space only a sister or somebody, not somebody who's been through that, gets you. They don't need to say words. That bond, and I struggle with that. I didn't realize how much impacted that shutting down to the world, how it impacts you emotionally, how it impacts you, how you navigate afterwards. I really truly wish I had scripts that I am not okay. What I'm going through is not okay. I need help. I need to go talk to somebody. And that was the last suggestion for anybody, because any parent who've had to, because we had to resuscitate Zion 3 times in the hospital. Can you imagine standing there? They're trying to bring your baby back to life. And just standing there. And going back to the room 2 days later, and I discovered that, I'm scared. I was scared, but I masked it so well. Because I'm asking, because I know how to enter a room, I know how to navigate a room, I know how to advocate, I know how to ask the questions. I could function in a high stress environment where everything is so clear. But when I go back in the room, I'm self-doubting everything that I was questioning. I was self-doubting myself because I wasn't too sure of all these spaces that I was in. So yeah, it was not easy. It was definitely not easy. But when you start discovering that, yeah, you're not that strong.
That was powerful.
You're not that strong.
That recognition of I I should have asked for help is a powerful, powerful step to growing, to recognizing that you can't do it on your own. And as you were talking about the need to be with someone, I had a vision of, in the same way you said, I needed to kangaroo love on her. It is that without words, connection, skin to skin. Sounds like that's the sisterhood connection you needed. There's no words needed. It is that hug. It is that unfolding. It is that skin to skin that will say, I got you. I'm here. I'm here. Well, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. So where are you and Zion now in your journey?
Well, Zion is 11 and amazing. So we went from, obviously, because she was born at 24 weeks, your skull is not fully developed. So since we have vaginal delivery, she ended up having a brain hemorrhage that have not permanently turned into a cyst. Neurologically, she is about 6 years old, but we know God has the last say so. But we still have a lot of visits, because obviously I took advantage of early interventions. Went from the NICU on, I make sure I was educated on how to take care of her, just massages and stuff like that. When we came out, making sure that all the specialty continues. So it's very important as your child is maturing that you can still advocate, and advocacy evolve. When they're babies, it's easier. Early child, before they turn 3 is easier, but once they get an education system is another type of advocacy that you have to kind of take on. So educating yourself, just understanding the law around IAPs, surrounding yourself with a team, because I'm very clear on all its neurologists. We see a neurologist every 6 months. We see a developmental pediatrician like every 3 months to 6 months sometimes. She's in physical therapy, she's in occupational therapy. Right now we do some, mental health, because obviously COVID has impacted her and verbally she can't express what's going on, but we see it in the behavior. Her anxiety is heightened, her OCD has taken over because she needs to feel a sense of control in something. And she's in ABA therapy where, we work on behavior, and I chose to homeschool her and to create an environment where I'm not going to keep sending her in an environment, a public school system that keep traumatizing my kid and just passing her along as if she's not a human being. So there's some hard decisions that you have to make along the way, but those decisions have created this amazing human being who was funny, very straightforward. Don't bring any fire to her, because that smoke. She's a different kind of being. Health-wise, she's doing amazing. She's obviously, with her medical history, she's a high immunocompromised person. So, but what we're learning through this process for her, as I'm watching her withdrawing in, who was so independent and very full of life when everything pre-COVID, to see her shrinking back in. Now I'm like, what? I gotta find the balance of, she gotta live. We can't keep ice, because she's a social kid. She's not meant to be in. So, but Zion, her health is much better. We still have to follow those specialties, and we, just like any parent, trying to figure out how to create the balance where we still get the right balance socially wise and still keep her safe in this space. But she's good.
And I know for you, Kate, you also, and I know Zion is good because, that's mine. She's always catching up with me. But I also know that you've taken some of those lessons you've learned, and you are now beginning to show other women how to advocate. So tell us more about that.
When we were in the NICU with Zion, I would see the nurses come to me like, hey, there's a parent who just came in. Even though my situation is dire, what I learned in helping others, it helps you as well. And they would come to me, hey, I just think maybe you could talk to her because I know you've been sitting here and stuff like that. So it started out that way. And then as we move from one location, the military families always move every 3 years, they're stationed us somewhere. And I realized, and some of those people that were attaching me to were military spouses who were very young. And I have a sense of who I was. I didn't get married until my mid-30s. I had a career and all that type of stuff. So I had a great sense of who I was. I had a foundation of my my being as a woman. So when I married my husband, it was different for me. And some, and when you have a young soldier who doesn't understand, hierarchy is so important, they really practice that. It started out that way, just me talking to parents who have special need kids through the military, and it born out of that is teaching women that you have voices. Just because somebody tell you something about your child, you don't, it's that even if you believe it and you understand that, now here's a step that you could take. After you process it, after you figure it out, after you kind of marinate in it, here's the work that now you have to do. And it's not going to be easy. And it's just general conversation. And I've just become, hey, we have this person. Oh, here's some resources that, here that we have. As a matter of fact, I just did that with my neighbor who just moved from Arizona. And she came and introduced herself out of the blue, not knowing that I had a child, who have all these amazing abilities. And we, and I was like, oh, and, I just say, here's some information here. And that information is a godsend. Every time you move somewhere, you have to start over. And you never know what's good services, what's negative services. It's like moving it forward.
And what about the research, or was it the law that you were instrumental in getting something changed? Because you used that to move that forward also.
Yeah, in the state of Colorado, I was part of a panel that discussed during COVID, we saw what was going on in the world, and a discussion started happening around autism. What's going to happen if they get stopped? There's no identity. As a matter of fact, another law just passed for ID that we were a part of, discussion around that. And the law is around police interaction with a person with different ability, what that would look like. In particular, person who have autism, who may not have the language, you may look like they're not being responsive, or they might be having a meltdown, a behavior they just, how do you interact with that? Because I know we require police to do so much, and that's the area. So now the bill that was passed, it requires that police go through training, mandatory training, and not just, on for a couple of hours. It's going to be mandatory training. We're still in the process. The panel just finished coming up with a recommendation to the police department. Not just from the academy on to when they become police officers, they have to be recertified every couple of years to make sure they continue with the education. They're partnering up with the social services, and, to create a support system that's going to interact with this. Not just autism, is also other, disabilities that, people face, is how to interact in those spaces and support them in that services, and then create the funding to kind of come behind that. So we were very instrumental in that. I was really excited about that. And I was like, maybe I should go on the judicial side of policy stuff. I'm kind of liking this. Find out which Congress, listen, our taxpayers paying those Congress people. How do I partner up and figure out how to make sure? Because if I'm feeling a deficit, and it's like when I'm working, yes, I'm empowering parents, but I'm realizing, when we make our Congress people accountable, and we create enough movement and make enough noise, and they're voting stuff, when re-election is on the line, they're willing to listen. They are willing to listen. And if you create a movement, especially, there's nothing more powerful than mothers. Go out there.
That's the truth. I love that. There's nothing more powerful than mother. Kate, it has been an amazing opportunity and an honor for me that you were willing to share your story and your journey, and to see where that moment where it was a dark moment, where it felt like you had nothing left, that you reached down, you found something extra and use that, and now we're moving forward. I so look forward to hearing the continuance of your journey and what's coming up for you next. And we're actually going to wrap up now, but before we do, I'd like you, Kati Tshikalu-John, to tell another woman who is going through that story, who thinks I'm the only one going through this. You know, these other people are going through something